Welcome everyone. Declare the meeting open, and I'd like to welcome everyone, home visitors for the weekend, and enjoy this lovely weather while we have a chance. Welcome to all these youngsters out there, and a couple of the parents too, I see, so glad to have you here. Looking for the declaration of conflict of interest first amongst the council members. No, that's fine, thank you. Looking for the adoption of the published agenda for Monday, March 7th. Councillor Vokes and Councillor Snively. Councillor Vokes?
Yeah, new business, I would like to talk to council if I could about the opportunity to use the municipal parking lot.
Okay. Councillor Caxero?
Through you, under new business, if I could, I'd like to ask administration for a report in the future with regards to the drainage department.
Anything else? Just before I turn it over to Mr. Rogier, just remind everyone to turn your electronics off, and if you get a call, go out in the hall, please. Thanks.
Your Worship.
All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
Your Worship, adoption of minutes from the February 22nd, 2016 regular council meeting.
Councillor Snively, Councillor Vokes, any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
If I could, I'm sorry, Your Worship.
Councillor Vokes?
Yeah, Council Bondi just wanted to identify, she'll be a little bit late, but she will be here.
Okay, thank you.
Your Worship, tonight's public presentation is the Element of Surprise robotics team from Holy Name Elementary School. They're here to talk about the Dream Team's innovations and achievements, and they're here with Mr. Kostanjevic and his students.
Welcome, sir, and youth. Thank you very much. I don't know who's going to be the spokeslady, but there's going to be questions asked of you, so who wants to start? Councillor Oakes.
Thank you, Worship. I can't remember the last time I smiled so much at a council meeting. So with all that being said, I see actually Chris in our doorway over there as the infrastructure director, and I think this may obviously relate to him, so I'd be very interested to see his take, his feelings on this, and why Chris is finding himself to his seat, ladies. I would strongly suggest you register yourself for Dragon Den. There could be opportunity there. The file today talks to, and did you do a presentation to IBM? And may I ask you ladies how that went?
So we actually didn't place in that competition, but throughout the day there was 4 workshops within, I guess, the time frame of presenting and such, and we were able to learn a lot of valuable information, and there was really great innovation, but obviously it was just about the experience, but yeah, we did not place.
And so with that being said, so you did present to other cities are using this as we speak, or there's interest?
We did present them to other municipalities. This is like the first one, obviously, because it's our hometown. But we eventually would, yes, look into other cities using it, but as of right now, no.
Okay, so if I could, I really would like to turn to Chris and get your views on this, Chris, and what opportunities do we have to?
Mr. Nepsey.
Through your worship. Yeah, we met with the girls several occasions. Doug and I both met. We interviewed them. We kind of poked holes in it a little bit, and they came out with some great ideas. They were just as good the first time as they were tonight. So an enthusiastic bunch of girls. We talked about the practicality of it, that we see the need for it. Some of the hurdles we talked about were where the placement is key, right? Location, location, location. So, but yeah, we'd be more than happy to pilot one somewhere in probably more of a downtown core and not on a residential street, and see how it goes, you know. And yeah, by all means, I think, I don't know if they still have one of our garbage cans or if it's incorporated in your design. So we didn't charge them $1,200 for it though. But by all means, we'll continue to work with them and see if we can get one out there, and you know, let's see how this works out.
So that's good news. So I guess the question would be is the next step is how we on a pilot project introduce it to the town of Essex. So we'll, any views on that, Chris? How we could do that?
Yeah, through your worship again, I think first of all, you know, we need to discuss with them and get an actual working model. Next, I think Ms. Brett would have to be instrumental in communicating and educating as far as pushing that message out on what we have and that media as far as how to use it and what we're looking at it. And we all know what kind of attention that can garner these days. So that would be some type of media blowout, rollout, and then once we got the working model.
Okay, so I personally have no problem in working with obviously Chris and our, you know, independent departments to help and assist in getting one in the town of Essex, even a couple, if we could somehow make that happen. But to me, girls, from what I understand, that's I'm not going to suggest to you it's a small hurdle, but from what I understand, you have a trip, a promotional trip, if you will, or a presentation trip in your future. Does anybody want to talk about that? One of the representatives.
So because this
So I want to talk to, when the time is right, I'm going to let some of the other councilors speak if they choose to do so, but when the time is right, I want to collectively, between us all, try to figure out a way to help you in getting that trip completed.
Councillor Snively?
Yeah, through your worship, first of all, congratulations, girls. You know what? That's a great accomplishment. As far as location, Councillor Vokes brought forward putting one maybe in Essex here, and another great location, I think, would be out at the harbor, you know, up on top where the parking lot is. I think at Colchester Harbor, you know, as a pilot project, I think it'd be great to put one there too. So, thank you.
Councillor Caxer, and then Deputy Mayor Malash.
Through your worship, yeah, also congratulations. You guys certainly, I mean, I was going to ask if you guys are in high school, and then I found out you're from Holy Name, so you're not in high school. You guys certainly have done some remarkable work. Is there any thought as to, because from a practical standpoint, I see this possibly taking off. Have you guys put together any thought as to what you're going to do if you actually sell a bunch of these and make money? Well, you might want to go back and have a little meeting on that, because I think this could catch some fire, and it might not be something that a small municipality is going to use in great number, but I could see something like this in a big city being sought after. I would definitely suggest that you don't stop here. Thank you for at least giving us the opportunity to see it first. I certainly would make a pitch at County Council, and that way you can tackle all 7 municipalities at the same time. I'd go to Windsor, I'd go to Toronto, I'd go to Vancouver, I'd go wherever you guys can go, because I think it's a great idea, and don't just stop locally. I think you've got something here.
Deputy Mayor Malash.
Thank you, through your worship. Congratulations, ladies. Very proud of you being here from Essex. And great presentation. I mean, you guys really, you guys put a lot of work into it. You can tell, and you're having a lot of fun doing it. So that's important as well. Congratulations to your teaching staff as well for being part of this with you guys. Because you have to have somebody in the background that's going to push it along as well for you. I too think that we should have more than one location as far as doing a pilot, and I think Councillor Snively hit it on the head. Maybe one down at the harbor in Colchester and one here in Essex Center as well. But whatever we can do to try and help you with that pilot project, I'd be more than willing to say to administration, you know, if you can go along with them, and I think they've already bought into the concept as well. But if there's something else that we can do, I mean, you guys need to let us know. You know, if there's a way that we can help you out with this and move it along for you. But congratulations, very proud of you guys.
Councillor Bjorkman.
Thank you, through your worship. Ladies, great presentation. It was nice to meet with just a couple of you one time before down at Town Hall, but you really stepped up your game here. This is terrific. Really glad to see the prototypes with the work that you've done with that, the small ones on the front, so we can get an idea of what that can top really looks like. I'm somebody who likes to see things. I'm not so good with the reading. Pictures are better, and you guys did a great job putting this together. All your information on the board there, really well. We like the idea, as we had talked about before. It's something that would be great, especially in parking lots, that sort of thing, where we talk about people are in their car, you get in, you're getting ready to leave, you had your snacks at the soccer field or whatever, now the car's full, and you can just drive past and chuck it out there. Terrific ideas. So wish you all the best. As we talked before, we know there's going to be some fundraising that needs doing. I think Councillor Vokes is going to speak to that. But terrific job. We're excited for you, and really your teachers, your parents, great team. Thank you.
Councillor Bondi.
Thank you for your presentation. That was amazing. I love seeing especially young women coming forward with ideas, because there certainly aren't enough of them around. One group I really think you should pitch your idea to is a local group, the Windsor Environment Committee. They would love to see this idea. Have you heard of them before? All right, there's some correspondence on our agenda today, so you can pick up their phone number from them, and it's all about building connections and building relationships, because each group that you're going to come in front of is going to give you new ideas and new connections. Like, what young woman came to us a couple of years ago, and, you know, she was looking for a woman in leadership trip, and we all pitched in, you know, $50 each. So we want to open as many doors as we can for you. I think our staff will work with you, and we'll do everything we can. I'd love to see a box in Harrow, of course. We coordinate each year, we coordinate a garbage pickup. So hopefully if we get some of these boxes around, we won't have to do that anymore. That would be the end goal. So thank you so much. It's a very inspiring to our community to see this idea come forward, and I wish you the best of luck.
Okay, just before I get to Councillor folks, like everyone said, congratulations, what a great job. Like it, you know, I was thinking back when I was a youngster, I didn't have memory like you ladies had. You just got out there and, man, spit it out like no tomorrow. You know, great to be young. And to the teachers who assisted you people immensely, I would imagine. Congratulations to, if there were parents, especially to you people also, because you're bringing up our youth, looks like in the right direction, for sure. Now, all you people have to do is get some of us, and I'm not one of them, to quit throwing it on the ground and use those things. But that's what helps keep me in shape when I walk down Main Street. I don't mind picking that garbage up and throwing it in there. That helps a little bit. But thank you very much once again. Councillor Vokes.
Thank you, Worship. So, and again, and I guess segueing off you, Your Worship, to Dave, Mr., help me out with your pronunciation of your name. Mr. K. Yeah, we certainly appreciate you helping in getting this dream team before us tonight, and all your work and all your endeavors in that. With that being said, obviously these young ladies putting Essex on the map in Australia it comes with financial challenges. So I want to try to discover a way to assist them getting to Australia. I guess my first question is to Donna, if I could. Donna, would assisting in something like this fit our council fund?
Through Your Worship, are you talking about the council discretionary funds?
Yes.
Yes, that would fit. That would definitely fit. Yeah.
So this will fit. So for sure it'll fit.
For sure it will fit, Councillor Vokes.
I say that respectfully and certainly not conflictually. Thank you, Donna. So when it comes to that just so you ladies know, as taxpayers, and your parents being taxpayers, we get a $2,500 fund, as Donna has suggested, to do what we want with it. So, and that fund is used and utilized at a council discretion, at a councilor's discretion. Once we get approval, obviously, from our finance department in terms of what we want to utilize it for, and that permission has been given here now. So, with that being said, as an independent councilor, I'm going to contribute $500 of that towards your trip to Australia, and I will just raise the bar for the rest of the councilors as to what they want to do, and we'll simply see what you come out of here with.
I have Councillor Snively and Councillor Caxero.
Through Your Worship, I will match that too, $500.
Councillor Caxero.
I almost feel like I'm not giving you enough by matching it, because I'm the third guy doing it, but I'll match it also.
Deputy Mayor Melange.
Thank you, through Your Worship. I just want to ask Donna, we can all contribute to this? We're okay? I will match the $500 as well.
Okay. Councillor Bundy. Councillor Bjorkman.
One of the things that we can do with the funds, and I will be matching with the $500. However, what you can do with that money is, if you're doing a fundraiser, you can take that $500 and invest it. Let's say you're going to have a silent auction, and take that money and go out and buy things and try to create more, instead of just saying, okay, well, we've just got $500 from each, but there's a pool of money that you can use to help expand that pool in any way that you're able to do that. So that may go a lot further than just what's here tonight.
Okay, anything further? Once again, thank you very much, young ladies, and sky's the limit. Yes, sir, Deputy Mayor Melange.
If by chance you guys do have fundraisers, like a pasta dinner or something like that, or a steak dinner is even better, but if you have any fundraiser events going on, make sure you send an email to council, like to our clerk, Robert Auger, and he will make sure that we are aware of it, and I'm sure you'll have some ticket sales from a bunch of us. So please, whenever you have a fundraiser for this, please make sure we're aware of it.
Councilor Caxero?
Through your worship, I'll go a step further. Is it possible for us to advertise on our webpage if they have a fundraiser? Is that something that would fit? Okay.
I'm getting
So-
head nods, yes.
Potentially, we might even be able to advertise on the website for you.
Just before your ladies leave, if you want to come in the middle here, we have a little gift for you. Mr. Roger will assist me, so. Oh, first of all, motion to receive, okay? The presentation, okay. Councilor Snively and Councilor Vokes, on favor? Motion carries, thanks.
Next on the agenda this evening is item 6, unfinished business. Motion number R16-02-051, which was tabled February 22nd in order to clarify details of overtime as it pertains to the position of community sergeant. So in conjunction with that, Your Worship, I believe we have firstly for receipt the subsequent Corporate Services Report number 2016-02 dated February 25th, 2016, once again for receipt.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Taxero, supported by Councilor Bjorkman. Any questions? Councilor Bondi.
Did we ever receive any clarity on this, about the overtime? And if so, can we just recap it, please, just so I'm aware?
Councilor Taxero?
Through your worship, unless Donna wants to speak, I can speak to it. We did receive some clarity. We received the number of hours of overtime that have been worked over the course of the last, I believe, 4 or 5 years. It averages out to, I believe, 157 average. In getting some numbers as far as a rate, that rate can be anywhere between $46 and $56 an hour. So on average, we're looking at about an additional cost of $10,000 to $11,000 a year. That's the addition. That's an average. There were a couple of years that there were spikes because of some events, extra events. Actually, in talking to Kevin Hummel, quite typically that position should be around the 100-hour mark, not that 157 hour average.
Councilor Bondi, further? No, thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Councilor Votes?
So it wasn't all in, right? And now it's another 11,000, right? For a position that, I gotta be quite frank with you, personally myself, I questioned in the beginning the value of it. And what really appalls me about that is when I look at that lady right there, she never misses. She never misses. So it makes me wonder what happened transitionally in between that when it was tabled and this now. Because to me, it makes me question whether or not it was highlighted and then some amends were made as to how it was overlooked. Because Donna don't miss nothing when it comes to, and she's proven that to me time and time again. So I'll leave it at that. I didn't support it. I won't support it. It's another added cost to us for 11 grand, and we're just going to put it through like it's water through a filter. But it is what it is.
Okay, anything further?
So right now, the motion would be to receive the report, the subsequent report.
We have to bring it from the table.
Well,
first.
point of order?
Yep.
So we're
Councilor
receiving,
Taxero.
if I may, through your worship, we're
Okay,
receiving
go
the
ahead.
report, then we're going to go back to the tabled motion, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
But we have to remove it from the table first.
correct.
Right. That's what we'll do now. Someone
No,
needs to, no?
we have to receive this report.
Yep.
Motion received.
Yeah, the motion's on the table.
Okay,
This is to receive the report.
yeah, that's what I'm asking for. All in favor? Okay, motion carries. Now,
Secondly, Your Worship, we would be looking potentially to take motion number R16-02-054 from the table.
moved by Councilor Taxero, supported by Councilor Bondi. Any questions to that motion? All in favor? Motion carries.
So the motion is now taken from the table. The original motion was moved by Councilor Taxero, seconded by Councilor Borkman. And this is R16-02-051.
Councilor Votes?
And this is in terms of approval of the job recognized. And so with that said, I'm going to ask for a recorded vote, please.
Yep, that's fine. Anyone else to the motion? Okay, sir?
Councillor Vokes,
Oppose.
Councillor Bjorkman,
In favor?
Councillor Caxero,
Support.
Councillor Snively,
Opposed.
Deputy Mayor Milosh,
Support?
Mayor McDermott,
Support?
And I also support.
oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Bondi. Councillor Vokes opposed, Councillor Borkman support, Councillor Caxero support, Councillor Snively opposed, Deputy Mayor Milosh support, Mayor McDermott support, and Councillor Bondi support. Motion carries 5-2. Item 7 on the agenda tonight is reports from administration. 7A is Community Services Report Number 2016-002, Colchester Harbor Breakwall Repair, for receipt and for council to approve funding of $13,110 for the Colchester Harbor Break Wall Repair, with the remaining funding of $40,000 to be received from Department of Fisheries and Oceans.
Support the recommendations?
Councillor Bundy and Councillor Bjorkman. Any questions? Councillor Snively, Deputy Mayor Milosh.
Through your worship, to Doug, I guess it would be Doug. I understand, okay, this harbor is owned by the federal government. Why wouldn't, I just want you to explain why the feds would not pay for the whole entire project.
Through your worship, they have a cap because they're limited to their annual budget for their for the year across the nation. So they have $40,000 cap. So when the project came at $52,000, they asked for the town assistance to get this project done. And in the past, they supported us in dredging and also in the replacement of docks.
Further to that, your worship, I would like the public to know how much funding do we get through the federal government for that harbor per year?
Through your worship, it varies, but at a minimum, we're getting at least $25,000. Up to $40,000 per year we've been getting, but at a minimum, $25,000 for dredging.
Thank you.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Milosh.
Through your worship to Mr. Sweet as well. That portion, like I'm looking at the diagram, and that portion of the break wall that was damaged, is it something that would be could potentially happen again? What was the what was the root cause of it? Is it something are we trying to build something into the break wall when we put it back together that will stop this or prevent it from happening in the future?
Through your worship, it was just wear and tear over time with the strong winds with the waves going there. We did have the DFO engineer come down and they gave us the specs to repair it. With the town looking at divestiture, we did mention that, so this is a repair that they would give us at least another 25 years. But if we're looking at doing something further, they are aware of that, so.
Sir?
So with that said, then my concern would be what other portions of the break wall are about to explode or fall apart.
Through your worship, upon their investigation right now, they feel that the rest of the wall is stable. They didn't see anything in danger of collapsing like this portion did.
For 1 year, 2 years, 3 years?
They did not give us a timeline, but they didn't see any danger in the rest of the wall at this time.
And we're in agreement with that?
Through Jay, the harbor manager, he went on site with them and he was in agreement, so yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Snively?
Through your worship, to Doug. What I understand, this is not coming from administration, but people that were down there working. The material that was behind the wall of that wall that collapsed should not have been there. Am I right or wrong? They used the wrong material behind the wall that pushed that wall out when the frost pushed out on it? Am I right or wrong there? What I understand by who was doing the work down there, that the material behind the wall was not the correct material.
Through your worship, I haven't heard either way. I know when their engineers come down, just the specs, we had to have the proper armor stone. Nothing mentioned about wrong material there currently. I have not heard anything of that.
Okay, through your worship, further to that, Doug, I would like you to talk to the person that did the work, and let's make sure the rest of the wall is safe. That through Deputy Mayor Malash here, that we don't have the same problem 1, 2, 3 years down the road where the rest of the wall collapses. So if you could please check with the contractor that did the work. What I understand was the wrong material behind the wall that made it collapse. Thank you.
Just for that, through your worship, the engineer from the ministry did come down and investigate it. So we do have an engineer that actually looked at that wall.
Further to that, your worship, I would like to know what the initial cause of the break was. Did he give you a cause? What made it collapse? What pushed that wall out? There had to be something that pushed that wall out.
Through your worship, the strong winds and the current, the direct way they hit that wall. Over time, it's just the wear and tear on that section.
Through your worship, I don't want to get into debate on it, Doug, but there is, to me, there is no wind that hits the wall at that corner, okay? To me, that's...
Point of information.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, are they talking about two different parts of the break wall? Doug, are you talking about the opening, and Mr. Councillor Snively, are you talking about the inside part of
I'm
the break wall?
talking the inside part of the wall.
I think we're talking about two different parts of the break wall.
Are we talking about two different? I'm talking about the wall that caved into the harbor. That's the part I'm talking about.
Through your worship, yes, this report has nothing to do with that. It's the break wall and the entrance of the harbor.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's my mistake. Right? Well, furthermore, okay, let's talk about that issue right there then. Okay, if I may. That wall caved out, where I'm talking about right there at the east side of that harbor. What made that wall cave out?
Through your worship, these repairs and the money is not for that. That it was, from my understanding, was the wrong material at that time. What the DFO was just for the break wall that was on the
great.
map.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Councillor Caxero.
Through your worship, now I'm confused.
Did you think it was?
What part of the wall is being repaired through the DFO? Is it the part that's labeled in the green color?
Yeah, you can't see it, but it's down here.
Okay.
When Councillor Snively was in construction here, that collapsed.
Oh,
But this is what the DFO on their property is repairing.
okay. Because what I was going to add to the conversation, and I was correct in thinking that it was the green portion down further, right there. Part of that, and correct me if I'm wrong, the reason why that would deteriorate is because the opening of the harbor is opened up to the prevailing winds, and that's part of the problem down at the harbor. That's part of what's going to be corrected if we gain divestiture. We would like the mouth of the harbor to open out up to the southeast, not the southwest. And I would suggest that that is probably the main reason why that portion of the wall is being repaired.
Anything else? All in favor of that motion? Motion carries. Okay.
Item 7B under reports, Community Services, report number 2016-003, Colchester Harbor Condition Assessment, for receipt and with the recommendation that council appoints the engineering firm of Landmark Engineers, Inc. to provide engineering services for an overall assessment of the Colchester Harbor.
Councillor Caxero, Councillor Bjorkman, Councillor Caxero, question. Deputy Mayor Malash.
I'll just speak briefly to the motion and support of this recommendation. This is the kind of first step in the process. We need to go through this exercise to get prepared to go to the ministry for divestiture, and this is one of the things we have to do. The reason why we'd like to use this firm versus going out for tender is because of their experience, and also IRCA recommended that they be the ones to do the work. They're very knowledgeable. Much like we do with drainage, Gerard Root is generally our drainage engineer, so it's because of the experience.
Deputy Mayor Malash.
Thank you, through your worship. I'd really like to see a timeline on this, the whole process of how we think this is going to proceed, because this is the third time that we've spent money on a report for the divestiture of the harbor. So I've been on council 4 terms. 3 terms out of the 4 we've had spent tens of thousands of dollars on a report that just goes by the wayside in the future. I really think we have to look at this report, whatever we're going to get, and make it something that will be usable for more than just the next 3 years. It has to give us answers that will be, or whatever we're going to require, it has to be in it that's going to supersede this term of council. Because I would hate for this to just fall off the face of the map because the federal government's not moving fast enough. It's not the fault of the committee, but the federal government, we all know, moves in very slow baby steps. We had a conservative rep previously with a conservative federal government, and it was moving slow. Now we have an NDP representative in a liberal government, and it's probably going to move even slower because of that. So I would like to see this report built and make sure that Landmark Engineers knows that we want something that's going to last, something that won't have to be repeated again in 4 years if the process takes 8. And I don't even know if that's possible, but I would certainly like to see it. This is not the first time that we're spending $40,000 here on this report. I want to make sure that it's something that we're going to get our money's worth out of, because we've had 2 reports previously that just seem to have gone nowhere. So I want to make sure that we have a timeline that this is usable in. And I think the committee members agree with that. I mean, I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm just making a point here that we've got to make sure that I don't want to be doing this again in 4 years when a new term of council comes again, because there's a certain time period that this can be used or whatever. We've got to get to that next stage. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anything further? Councillor Bondi, and then Mr. Sweet.
Thank you. I support the recommendation. I would just like to know the estimated time that this would be done, completed, so I can write it down in my book. I also agree with the Deputy Mayor, and we've been talking about this for my second term now for a while, and I really feel like council hasn't really had a discussion about what our goals are for the harbor, but I guess in reading the report it says that first we get this report, then we determine what we want to do. So that makes sense. That's why I agree with it. But I'd also just like to have a time frame on when this report could be completed and when we think it'll be back at council, just so we can watch for it.
Mr. Sweet.
Through your worship, to answer both questions, the report, he's looking at approximately 6 to 8 months. He hopes 6 months to have a report back to us. I'm not sure in the past if there's been this type of report done. This is, use Jeff Watson's terminology to simplify it. We're trying to get a home inspection, which we've never done. What's actually wrong, so we can go to the government and say we need help on this A, B, C, and D. And from this, we can also go to the next step, which is assessment. So from reading past reports, this is actually taking it a step further than we have in the past. I think in the past, it's more business plans. So this now is getting us a home inspection, how we can do the A, and now get an actual request to the federal government.
Okay. Councillor Snively?
Yeah, through your worship, I agree 100% with Deputy Mayor Malash. As long as it's a usable report that comes back that we can use it, because I know this has been going on since 2000, 2001, that we've way before that. So as long as this report is usable in the next few years to come, but I agree with the government we have today, okay, that this process is going to move very, very slow. So I have to agree with Councillor or Deputy Mayor Malash here. But as long as the report is going to be usable in the future, 4, 5, 6 years down the road, I would support it. So no problem. Thank you.
Councillor Vokes.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to kind of segue off of what Councillor Snively just said. My first term on council, 12 years ago, the harbor was an issue, and it certainly wasn't Doug, by no means. I don't want to point a finger at him. It's not him. It's the councils of the day and councils as of today. And here we are, 2015 or 16 now, still talking about the harbor. We're still talking about people. 12 years in my term on council. And 12 years later, we're still asking for a report to be done for almost 40 grand to figure out what we're going to do. Would anybody suggest anybody that's good governance? It's progressive governance? Because we're all afraid during that tax period we just went through of increasing to get the money to do that. That's the bottom line. So if this report will give us some guiding light as to what we have to do in terms of an assessment, then we need to do that. But what we need to do as a council is once we get it, not put it on the shelf, but we need to figure a way to make it work on Doug's direction. That's what we need to do. That's what's going to happen. I think that's kind of maybe what Councillor or Deputy Mayor Malash is alluding to. Another report, another expenditure, and it becomes fruitless. There's no harvest of it. And that's what I fear when I see that too. So I would just suggest to council that we endorse what the report says, and somehow, even though we're through budgetary considerations, we figure a way to start enacting it. Not, and I heard you, Lair, say a couple of years. I don't want to start in a couple of years. I want to start this summer, based on what that report tells us, even if it's little things that people can see that we're doing it.
Councillor Caxero.
Through your worship, part of the reason why it's been going on for so long, and is it okay if I speak? Thanks. I was on the Harbor Steering Committee when I was on my first term of council, your first term of council, Councillor Vokes. We met with the ministry. We had an agreement in place, but unfortunately, it was First Nations that caused us to have a stop in the process. We had to wait for approval from First Nations that they didn't have a claim against the harbor for us to take divestiture of it. So at that point, it kind of stopped. I got off of council. I believe the next term of council, there wasn't much that moved on the file. We've had changes in government. Now we have changes in representation and changes in government again. So part of the problem is the fact that there's been, one, a stop in the process because of approvals, and two, a stop in the process because of changes in government, changes in representation. So yes, it is absolutely frustrating. I was a supporter my first term of council. I'm still a supporter. I was the one that brought up to revisit having a harbor steering committee because I believe in us taking divestiture of that harbor, and I would like to work very hard on that file, and I'm trying to. And I believe Councillor Snively has the same opinion. He's a fisherman, I'm not, but I see the value in that harbor. So yes, I want to see this happen yesterday. That's why I developed the committee, and that's why, I said during my term of council, I'd like to see something done. And I think we can all agree on that. I would like to see, instead of 6 to 8 months, I'd like to see the report done in 3 or 4 months. And I'll push for that. So absolutely, and keep our feet to the fire on this because I think it is an important part of our community.
Anything further? Councillor Vokes?
No due respect to you, Councillor Caxaro, nobody's going to disagree with you. Nobody. We all agree with what you're saying. And if there was a hiccup in terms of waiting, then the plan would be, to be quite frank with you, where I'm working now, we have opportunity of work, and if that work doesn't produce fruit, there's another plan sitting there to enact immediately. It's the way we do our business. We should have been doing that with the harbor. If the fruits of that didn't come to harvest, as I just said a few minutes ago, then we put that plan right in place, and we're not behind the 8 ball doing nothing.
Deputy Mayor Malash.
Thank you, through your worship. And kind of going along that line, I know that the committee has the ability to see what the plan is and, what your thoughts on that are. But I would really appreciate just kind of like an outline or a strategy of where, like a flow line of where we think this is going to go next, just so that we have a better understanding of that we're moving quick enough, and that some of the answers you may not have answers to, but just kind of so that we all have an idea of how quickly this can move along, or what I call the Herbies, what the stalls in the plan could potentially be. What are the bottlenecks? But it would be nice for the rest of the council to understand that too, just so that we can help get behind you and maybe offer some support in different areas that maybe we have some expertise in, or that we have some connections, or maybe dollars that you need to try and make it move along a little quicker.
Anything further? I just have a couple comments. Right from day one, like you've been talking about 12 years ago, Councillor Caxero was right. They formed this committee, and at that time, the council of the day, and I think everyone since, is we're not prepared to put a lot of money into that marina until the government of the day makes the improvements that are required down there with the opening, changing the opening and everything. There's all kinds of money needs to be, sunk into that marina. And as soon as they do this, we will take it over, but not till then. That was what 12 years ago we said. There's no guarantees that we spend this $40,000 and get this study that the government's going to come down here and do anything for us. Almost we need a guarantee from them before we spend this $40,000. Again, like Deputy Mayor Malash said, we almost need a commitment from the federal government that, hey, we're just throwing money in there for no reason at all because of you people. So I don't know if we should jump right in and do this, or, maybe come in the back door with this thing after we've been through the front door talking to the government. I don't know. Okay. Councillor Snively and Councillor Caxero.
Through your worship, I agree with some of the things you were saying here tonight. But then again, I look at it, it is a federal funding project. We've been not very successful with the federal government, and I can go back to when I was mayor. This issue come up, and this is years before I was a mayor, that this harbor, we wanted to take over the harbor. Well, the feds, to me, it looks very clear that they're not willing to put any funding into that. So I'm looking at that harbor, and that is, I would say that harbor is the heart of our community in that area. The harbor has improved over the years, and especially in the last 2 or 3 years, you can see the increase in people using that harbor. You can see the increase on the public using our parks down there. So as a council, of the day, if we don't get funding from the federal government, once we get our infrastructure in place, this is a project we might be looking at in the future, maybe to do some funding there to enhance the entrance coming into that harbor. That, to me, I think is a big issue, the entrance coming into that harbor. If Councillor Coxer, I think he agrees with that, that's the big issue. That is the money one there. You're talking $1.5 million to do that or more. So, as council of the day, we're going to have to decide, maybe by the end of this term or maybe even before, if we're going to bite the bullet, because I really don't think the feds are going to come forward and say, Town of Essex, we're going to give you funding to enhance that harbor. Personally, I don't think it's going to happen with the government of the day. Thank you.
Councillor Caxero.
Through your worship, and I don't want to beat a dead horse in the face, but Just clarification, it is a study that we haven't done before, so we're not redoing something, we're not spending money again on the same thing, so it's something new. And just for clarification, divestiture, the federal government will not divest of the harbor unless it is safe and viable. It must meet those two criteria. So they generally have to pay for that, but that's where the hiccup is when it comes to funding, because if there's a lot of money to spend, generally speaking, from when I was on council the first time coming forward, and they've thrown pockets of money at divestiture, but generally speaking, they have about $1.5 million per year for divestiture. So if we're looking at a project that is going to cost $2 or $3 million, and it probably will, because back when I was on council 12 years ago, it was 1.25. And the problem is they don't want to dump their whole budget into one project. They want to divest of 5 harbors with $1.5 million. Unfortunately, over the course of 12 years, they haven't increased that amount that they're putting into divestiture. So we have to come up with maybe a creative way of getting them to pay for it. It might be that, we front the money and they pay us back over a certain amount of time. That's kind of what we pitched to them 12 years ago. They liked that idea. We may have to do the same thing again when we get to that point. We have to do this, another couple of steps to get us ready to go to the government. And I think with this, to kind of get our house in order, or get the housekeeping, list together as to what's wrong down there, what do we need to improve, as opposed to just going with a business plan. Because that could be viewed as we're just trying to improve it for our own benefit. We get this list together as to what needs to be done down there, then it gives us more ammunition to say, hey, this is what needs to be done. And we have to have a business plan in place also, and then we go to them, and I believe it's a good case, and as long as we can get creative with how they fund it, maybe we can get some money that way. But if not, yeah, Councillor Snively makes a good point. At some point, they won't stop us from spending our own money to fix the problem, and then they'll give us divestiture because it is safe and viable, but I'd rather see them spend the money than us.
Exactly, sir. I would just like to go back to a couple comments that Deputy Mayor mentioned. The party of the day. Like I can remember 5-7 years ago, our MP at the time, our former MP, right after Port Stanley was repaired, they made improvements there and they turned it over to the town. He told me, we're next up. That's a lot of years ago. Like Deputy Mayor said, the government of the day, our representative right from here, nothing could happen. So I agree with a couple of the council members stating, can't see it happening. And I kind of think the same way, because when we couldn't get it done when we had somebody right here in our municipality, it's going to be pretty darn tough to get it done without one here. So is that it? I'm finished. Good enough? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 7C, Chief Administrative Officer, Report Number 2016-01, a verbal and written report on annual operations 2015.
Mr. Phillips. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. Sincere pleasure to present this report to Council. I've had the opportunity to present a similar report in 2013 to the previous Council. Unfortunately, my own health took me away from being able to give you a report on 2014, but I think it's an important for the Council and the community to see the types of initiatives. These are beyond the day-to-day activities that we as an administration or as a community or as a town that we do. And so with your concurrence, I'll walk you through a brief presentation. There's a couple of slides here that we'll roll through fairly quickly. Contrary to the way we did the budget, we're going to start with community services so we don't finish with them. But we're going to walk through infrastructure and development, fire and rescue, corporate services, and then take a look at those functions that report to my office through the CAO. Just to start you off, the county-wide active transportation system trail connections behind Harrow Arena, this was all activities that were accomplished in the year 2015. We received $25,000 from the CN grant in greening Heritage Gardens and Park. You may recognize a few folks in that summary picture with shorts on, and one guy's got a tie, I guess. The demolition of the Essex Memorial Arena occurred in 2015 at Council's direction. as did the demolition of the Essex silos. Changed the landscape of the community quite dramatically. On the site of the Memorial Arena will be a permanent dog park location. The fence posts are up now, and the Essex Dog Park Group has raised money, and fencing is being erected as we speak right now. The Spitfire Memorial walls were erected. Now, this is a project that was worked with another group, but it was very much coordinated by Doug and his group as well. And it's an honor that that's in our community. Another honor is the cenotaph at Harrow's Veterans Memorial Park. That was unveiled last summer in Harrow. McGregor Parkette next to the post office, that work began, and it's very similar to the Harrow Downtown Park. The new Harrow Playground structure by the Harrow Arena, that was done by using a new public input process that Doug and his shop utilized to incorporate that park. We began work in 2015 on the Peace Gardens at Colchester in Jackson Park. With the first phase, the pavilion is now up on the corner. And in 2015, our community was named a National Communities in Bloom winner. 5 Bloom and Forever Bloom winners. Something, a new and kind of exciting activity for the community. Speaking of new and exciting, the Junior Firefighter Program, in partnership with the Essex Fire Department through Community Services, they put together a Junior Firefighter Program on a PA day. It went with such success that I think they're offering it again and again and again. And so, while it's not intended to be a moneymaker, I think it does cost you $60 to put your kid in the program. And then they have an opportunity to be a firefighter for the day. And you'll see the smiles on the faces in the next picture there. They're all lined up waiting to give a little blast of the hose out on the street there. A great activity for the community. Legacy Tree Program with all 6 elementary schools in the municipality. This is, I think that's a picture down Harrow Way, I'm not sure, but we had Bloomer and Petunia out there and a whole cast. It was pretty cool days. I remember being over at Holy Name when they were doing that project, and I think that was one of our first real cold fall days. First summer concert series, and again is coming back for its second year, but Essex and Colchester had phenomenal feedback. This is a picture taken over by the train station. Pickleball, offered in both McGregor and Harrow on the outdoor courts, but it's also offered here in Essex Centre indoors. These are some indoor shots. Great activity for seniors, great activity. I was watching one day, the mayor and I were over there for a meeting, and he got involved in a game, so it's a great activity. Talking a lot about the harbor, the new floats were put in, or the new dock, sorry, at A Float. This is just prior to the power pole pedestals and the water lines being run. And we introduced a new flag in 2015. It's proudly hanging out in front of Town Hall right now, and there's Petunia and Bloomer and a couple of our friends there holding the flag. We celebrated the first cleanup day across the municipality in spring 2015. This is a shot of the group up here in Essex Centre that came out on a very warm spring day and did a yeoman's work in cleaning up the community. Great to have the community involved in that activity. This is a picture of the Pan Am Torch Relay with our Pan Am Torch Relay persons, and also some of the other programs that Doug and his group with the Windsor Wheels under 19, they used the Harrow Soccer Complex, and the new skating programs were introduced at both arenas. These are some I don't have pictures for these, but these just give you again a sense of the types of activities. 208% increased attendance during March break. Community Services Group won the Scarborough Cup again for the largest training program in a population between 10,000 and 50,000. Achieved 80% participation in our area schools in both grade 3 and grade 7 Swim to Survive programs. Grade 5 swim passes, April Pools Day, successful accreditation. We celebrated that here at the council chamber with the High Five programming, and the first municipality in the region to offer sibling swim lessons to accommodate families. Also, the Special Events Resource Team, which Doug brought to our community a couple of years ago, again had a great year last year in being able to run a number of events and festivals through there, and they're all self-explanatory. I'll make copies of this presentation for you. They weren't available prior to tonight, but I'll run prints of it so that you've got this presentation as well. If you can just bear with me for a moment, please. The slides are so big that we have to jump to a second presentation. So if you bear with me, please. Moving over to Operations, Capital Works, and Drainage Department under Chris's purview. Fairview Avenue was completed. Picture here of the access of the active transportation network, and a picture of the new signalized intersection at Hanlon. Dunn Road was completed in 2015. Road condition rating assessment tool was created and used for all roads, rural and urban, in Chris's shop. This is just a snapshot of the Excel spreadsheet that's utilized for that. Culvert and bridge program continues. Another 2 bridges, culverts were completed last year, and if you adopt the budget again tonight, there's another 2 of them to be done in 2016. The condition rating maps, which council utilized these, and Chris was able to demonstrate to council those roads, list of urban roads requiring modifications and priorities for all of our maintenance work. The IDF curve, the intensity, duration, frequency curve study, is undertaken and is still ongoing with the support of IRCA. Road patrol software is purchased and implemented. Now it's a joint effort between both operations and our IT department with Jack Barron and under Donna's project. Also, drainage works and billings are up to date. Processes were modified. I know that's of great interest to the community and to council. The drainage bills today contain much more information, the entire assessment schedule. Several ditching projects were completed. Storm sewer modeling was initiated. Fleet and equipment replacements are continuing on cycle. We've talked about those during budget. New surface treatments, new cleaner, more efficient technique for shouldering utilized. Chris can speak to you in more detail on that. Proactive drain maintenance, and the Erie Street multi-use trail was installed. Moving over into environmental services, I'm going to save you pictures. I don't have any pictures of dirty sewers for you, so you can. But sanitary manholes, the inventory of those were inspected, over 500 manholes. Ward 1 sanitary sewer flow monitoring model was developed. We're proceeding with the design of the sanitary capital improvements due to the flooding issues. Proceeding with the environmental assessment for all sanitary works. There was 300 manhole pans installed in Essex Centre. And subsidy program for all sanitary, council adopted that in 2015. And the uptake, I think it's a little higher than the 35 today. I think, Chris, is it not? It's a little higher than about 50 people now. That's an older slide. Also, environmental services, flooding advisory committee was successfully commissioned. Extensive camera work and fog testing was completed. There's a picture of a clean sewer. And also sludge from Colchester lagoons was successfully dewatered. The majority of fire hydrants were painted within the town. Gosfield Fairview water main was completed. We're down to single digits for water users that are not on radio frequency meters now. I think we've just got a handful left. Reservoir repairs were confirmed successful. The major difference in the amount of water that we lost at the reservoir over the last couple of years. So I was talking to Chris about that not that long ago, and significant improvement in that. We developed a 5-year financial plan, and that was adopted by council and submitted to the ministry. And water and sewer rates were completed by CN Watson. They were adopted by council. New aerators were installed at the Harrow Lagoons. In the planning and development, and building department, the community improvement program uptake continues. It's not as strong in Harrow as we'd like it, but it's moving. The planning department and the building department are both involved in the Selleck development and the Colavino Industrial Park. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. We had ongoing discussions with Mady Developments, the Gianni lands, Hearn lands. Stormwater design policy and development standards has been initiated. Numerous enforcement on property standards resulting in several demolitions, and effective monitoring of the sanitary subsidy programs ongoing by the building department. The planning department also had the official plan was reviewed and renewed. That was a major accomplishment last year. Sign bylaw was updated and approved by council. Heritage Committee was reinitiated, and the picture there you see it to the side is what the new plaques will look like when they are commissioned. That's for the Toffelmeyer-Snyder Cemetery. Colavino Business Park has been initiated. The first 13-acre lot has been sold, that to the Selleck Corporation. And Selleck's will be holding a groundbreaking ceremony here in the next couple of weeks, my understanding is. County Road 50 trails were extended. again, work done by the planning and building areas and under Chris's purview. The beautification, successful projects in both Harrow and Essex Centre through the BIA and the Chamber. And I've got just one more just to go over with you. To start off at the fire department. In 2015, the fire department received all new self-contained breathing apparatus. They completed the training and the implementation, moving to the new Scott packs. The supplier provided the fire department with over $7,000 worth of training at their Blythe Training Center, and here's some pictures of our firefighters getting trained. The implemented replacement gear, all of our bunker gear is being replaced on a cycle now according to the budget. New rescue truck was purchased. This is a small pumping unit, was purchased at Station 2. New extrication tools, this is the Jaws of Life. This is a battery-powered Jaws of Life, so no cords, no hydraulic cables, or any of the other stuff that need to be used. And they created an interoperability radio system. This is an ability for fire department to coordinate between all other county dispatch and EMS, police, and all other county fire departments. So there's, in that picture, it's hard to see there on the screen, but there's about 6 different radio components inside mounted on the truck. They also worked with partnership with St. Clair College to establish a joint training facility in our community for live fire training, and I'm pleased to report the chief was just telling me today that St. Clair is going to be doing testing at our waterworks site, at our sewage control facility. The sea canisters are in place. They're going to be doing a live test at those very soon. And we're continuing to work with the grandfathering process through the province in terms of a new delivery of our training culture and a new culture being embraced. This is a picture of one of our snorkel units. And some fire practice going on a vehicle. Fire department's also very much involved in the mental health response unit. This is a picture of hoarding in a house, in a home within our community, dealing with OCD issues and having to go through. The picture is hard to see there, but there's everything in there that you'd want to shake a stick at, between animal feces, cat food, last week's newspaper, and last month's garbage. That's why the hazmat outfit. And all of our vulnerable occupancies. That was something that the chief worked on diligently with his new staff last year, and they were all up to date on all of our facilities. Public education continues to be a major project for them, and they had education committee of all 3 stations working on events. That's something new for them. Text alert systems being put into place, and it's implemented and working. Every one of our senior staff receive a text if there's an event that occurs that requires the assembly at the EMS. Then our staff receive a text. And there's an electronic availability system. I encourage you to go past one of the halls. This is the picture of the system over at hall number 1. It's recently been installed, and it shows it's the enhanced ability for the staff to understand, or the chief to understand, who's available, who's on vacation, who can't make a call, everything from staff to entering burn permits and all of the other good stuff. So it's a fairly new, quite complicated system that they've just implemented. Moving over to corporate services, something new to you, the 2015 budget with a new format, and it links directly to the asset management plan. You saw changes in your capital budget, which we're going to deal with tonight. Updates of the asset management plan, including funding strategies. The asset management plan itself was completed again in 2015. In 2015, we prepared and issued 51 tender documents. That's up something significant from last year, and we expect that with the size of the budget this year, we'll be up even greater than that. And then a number of other things, from everything from the negotiating and the procurement of virtual city hall, which is being installed currently, or they're working on that. They assembled a preferred list of vendors for legal services, and the reconciliation of major drain works, of the municipal drain works, all completed last year. Under the IT area, our information technology and our GIS section, the access control system, which now you can enter City Hall using a fob, that's just recently been implemented. We implemented a new web filter that stops a lot of spam and a lot of stuff from not getting into our system. RFP was put out for the replacement of all copiers. Jack's been working on disaster recovery backup solutions. We did an upgrade to our Dynamics software. Great Plains was updated last year, which is our system which operates our financial systems and our budget tools. Our graphical information system, asset inventory and tracking trails is now a reality, and we're linking asset inventory to the condition mapping, which you've seen from Chris's shop. Also under corporate services, code of conduct was done by Donna, and we engaged the services of an integrity commissioner. Code of conduct for employees, I guess I can say now it's not in progress anymore, it's adopted. Council's discretionary fund was implemented. Delegation of authority bylaw is being worked on, and water waste study was completed. Grant applications that were worked on with the manager of communications. We had the Small Communities Fund, the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, Canada 150, Trillium Fund, I think we worked on that as well. Updated the respectful workplace policy, tax policy, drug and alcohol use policy, and a procedural bylaw. Procedural bylaw will be amended again soon, and we're going to be seeing some changes coming forward in that. I think you're all familiar with the trap